go by, and it doesn't even matter to me where I go. I just feel I need to take a ride.
Welcome back to West Texas, folks. You will have just seen a quick time lapse of me finishing off the corn harvesting contract I was doing last time. I apologise up front. My voice may sound different. I have a really bad cold and cough at the moment, and I'm not sure how much commentary there will be on this video because, yeah, there's only so much I can edit out of me sounding absolutely awful. I have brought the milling machine to help with clearing the manure because the belt system I was using was a bit of a pain. So I've done 4 of the 6 corrals. This is still not perfect by any means. The 3 corrals over, no, not the 2 corrals over there and the far one on this side are really difficult to get anything into. But we produce so much manure in a day that doing it with a bucket would just take forever. Obviously I started out using the wheel loader with the bucket, and it was just really slow and I didn't have time to do it really, so this works really well. Once it gets going, it's fairly quick. Yeah, it's a good way of getting the manure cleared. Today we are going to be planting the Triticale in the field that we harvested last video, the cotton field. I did that one as a time lapse because I was even worse sounding than I am now. You'll notice we have a lot more money again. That's just purely from the amount of money we're making from the BGA. So if I jump in the finances page, we made, actually it's a combination of things. We made 500,000 from the contracts we did yesterday at the end of the last video, and then 750,000 from the BGA from selling slurry and manure. So we're sitting up at just under $1 million. Most of that's going to go today, this new tractor day again. We're going to get the manure cleaned out of these last 2 pens and sold. I need to feed the cows. I mixed up a batch of TMR and then stuck it in the silo over here so it'll be quicker to feed out. I did that at the end of last game day while the corn harvesting contract was finishing. So I'm going to get these pens cleaned out, get the cows fed, give my voice a little rest, and then we'll get on some field work. Cows are fed and in the process of being watered. And there is something else that I haven't shown, is this Flegel brush that I brought that I use for cleaning the cows out. I think the silage that gets cleaned up just goes off into the nowhere, but it's really quite quick. We aren't so worried about amounts of food that we need to worry about it going back into feeding the cows, so it's just a really easy way of cleaning out 6 cow pens quite quickly. It's off the mod hub and it comes with a number of options. There's some pallet forks you can fit it to, or like this you can just fit it to the front of a telehandler. And yeah, it just clears away the silage mess, which is really useful. Anyway, I will finish cleaning out the cows and then we will get into the field work. Cows are all sorted. Something else which is cool is that now I think we are 1 day away from cows. That being said, once we've got the Triticale field planted, I'm probably going to speed through until spring, but I might just touch in when we start getting milk produced. But I'm going to speed through the winter, just looking after the cows and selling manure and things. Anyway, new tractor day. I thought this was going to take so long to get to. Early on, it didn't seem like we were making money very quickly. And I've come into the wrong one, because it's not a medium tractor, is it? Silly boy. It's not at all medium. This is as far away from medium as you could get. My first ever quad track. If it wants to load. Well, that's very strange. I saved the game and it seems to have sorted itself out. So, AFS Connect, quad track, car farms. Look at this beast. We have a lot of options we can go through on here. So we've got a whole load of 3D track options. I think I'm just going to go for the 36-inch version of the Camso tracks. On the front, we are going to put the... I don't think we need weight. I'm going to put the blade undermount because I would like to use the silage blade when we get around to making silage next year. US. I don't think we have anything that really needs it, but I want to put the 3-point on the back. And so far, it's not too bad. It's only, you know, just over 500,000. We're going to go for the luxury cab. Do I want tinted windows? Can we get a light tint? We can get a light tint. That might be quite nice. Standard exhaust. Lights. We're going to go for the performance lighting. Reverse beep. No, because that annoys me. In-cab monitors. Everything. And now it gets expensive because we don't want a 470. We want the 620, 680 horsepower. And we get to over $750,000. But we can afford it at the moment, so we're going to buy it. And look at that beast. Let's jump in, have a look in the cab. That's really nice, isn't it? It's really nice. Sounds nice. Now, this is way overkill for the first job that it's going to have, which is to run the cultivator and anhydrous. And I could probably do this with, I could certainly use our old 9190, the Magnum, would run it, but why not, hey? Why not? It just sounds so good. Obviously we still have our massive loan, which we paid a little bit off of, and as we go through the winter I'm going to work on paying that loan off with the money we make from selling all the manure. And we'll start to get into milk as well, which is cool. So the plan is to run a couple of headlands, and we're going Triticale next year, which is going to need quite a lot of nitrogen. Probably not that much. Let's add about 60 kilograms of nitrogen, and then we'll do the rest as we seed. So let's put this guy to work. Nice. So we've achieved one of the goals of the series. And we have our quad track. So if you have suggestions for a new seeder to run on the back of this guy, stick them in the comments. And the only other, there's the Borgo stuff, and the only other big one that I can think of is the John Deere stuff, and that just wouldn't look right on the front of a quad track, I don't think. So if you've got any ideas, drop them in the comments below, because I would like to get a new bigger seeder ideally to run behind this. Wow, we're cultivating at 18 miles an hour. Jeez, we didn't have the power to do that before. So stick the GPS on, although it looks like it didn't pick up the width. We'll have to have a look at that once we've done some headlands, but we'll just happily tear around this field first. We do need to look at still a new forage harvester. So the one we have is quite low horsepower and runs quite a small header. So for next silage season I would definitely like to get something that can run a 9-metre header. Probably we might stick with New Holland on that, or we might go class. Obviously we had the 2 class tractors in for demo when we did silage and they worked really well. So maybe we'll have a look at a class forage harvester. It's another one of those things, as I mentioned in my Bergeichland series. I bought class DLC. I've not used either of the class forage harvesters in a Let's Play. So we also have combine upgrades because the twin screw looks really cool, but I just found it difficult to work with. I have a combine I would like to use on here that I've not used since I've been making YouTube videos, so I have that in mind. We'll reveal that at some point, although I have already said in a video which combine I want to use on here, but I'd forgotten, so you might have as well. So we're getting a nice bit of nitrogen in the field with the anhydrous. Keyboard steering is always fun, especially doing field work at speed. Yeah, working with is not 0. I'll have to try and resolve that when we get to the point of using GPS. I'm going to do 2 headlands, I think, just to give us room to work. But I don't think this will take us as long as I thought. And then we need to get it seeded with Triticale. I had debated ploughing some of the big headland areas in on here that we've been mowing in the past, but I figured I'd leave them. I quite like the round field. So the other thing that I would like to do on here, money wise and expansion, is get more land. Obviously we did the cotton cash crop. I don't think I'm going to do cotton again. I'm going to go for sorghum next year. Partly because that video really didn't go down very well. I don't know whether it was because it was time lapse or whether it was because it was cotton harvesting. But so we're going to do sorghum next year, which is a crop that I've not done before. But yeah, I'm looking at more land. There are some big fields on here that I would like to look at getting at some point. So I'm going to get this other headland done and I'll be back once that's done. I got the headlands done. Realistically, I should have probably done headlands last doing this kind of job, but hey, it's how I've done it for now. So got GPS running. I had to manually set the width because for some reason it wouldn't detect for the Nitro Master bar that we're using. But we're now just going to run the up-down rows and get this field cultivated. It's I've set the cruise control slightly lower just because going insanely fast makes the turns really difficult, especially when your keyboard disconnects from your laptop, which is what that just was. I don't think it's going to take me too long to get this field cultivated in. That's a weird effect. It's like we're going so fast we're knocking the cotton down before we get to it. That's cool. Yes, I think if I knock the cruise control off, we can actually creep up a little bit faster. Depending on how flat the field is, because we're running slightly uphill, we can actually run at about 18 miles an hour, I think. Which is pretty crazy for doing tillage. But it's a very light tillage bar and a very powerful tractor. But yeah, if we open it up, down, should be going downhill now, I think. No, yeah, just creeping up to 17. So I'll probably jump into some sort of montage now of getting this field cultivated, and I will be back when we're ready to do some seeding, I think. So let's find some music to put on, and I'll chat to you in a little while.
Got my coffee cup to go, and I'm gonna hit the road tonight. Now my wheels in motion and my windows open with the wind blowing in my hair. I'm driving down the highway, gonna do this my way. I can feel it in the air. Here I go. Turning up the stereo in a place I didn't know till now. In a different part of town, I see new colors as the sun goes down. No, it doesn't even matter to me where I go. Just feel I need to take a ride. I don't know when I'll get back. Keep on going and relax tonight.
So we're on to the last 2 rows of the cultivating and fertilising with anhydrous. It's such a nice tractor. Same thing as I said with the Magnum, really. Carl Farm stuff. It's the first time I've used Carl Farm stuff, I think. And really nice mods. Really nice tractors. This one has beast through cultivating this fairly big field in... Stick cruise control back on. Under an hour. 3/4 of an hour to cultivate this big field. So cool. So we'll just get this folded up and we'll go hook up to the seeder. Nice throaty sound as well. Just jump in cab. I'm assuming that this monitor will hook up with something like a Demco and give us some information on that, I think, maybe. We'll find out, because the grain cart is something we need to upgrade in the future. Very nice. I'm going to leave this rig out by the washer, ready for a power wash at the end of the day. Get all the anhydrous off. Get everything cleaned up. So that should do it, yep. And we might as well use this to seed as well, I guess. And hopefully the planter is not in the way. No, we should be able to hook up to that. So we need to fill up with fertilizer. We may as well fill up with seed as well while we're doing that. And while I remember, we will swap to Triticale. I didn't just crash my new tractor. Nope, nope, you're imagining things. Try and get this under the pipe. We might have to try and squeeze between the 2 bins, I think. So we'll get this sealed feeded, or field seeded. And that'll be it for today. Once we're full, we'll just just fold the auger up and we will try and cut between these two bins, and then we need to loop round to the fertilizer bin. There we go. I didn't set those up very well, did I? First one's lime, second one's fertilizer. So I'm just concentrating on my really bad driving. I will start talking again soon. There we go. So in completely un-farm sim related news, I had a sleeve tattoo started about 12 years ago, and I got probably 80% of it done. And then I met my now wife and moved to the other side of the country from where I was having it done. And just got back in touch after 10 or 12 years with the tattoo studio to try and get finishing that booked in. It's quite a wait, looking like March probably, and that's not a problem for us, is that allows time to sort out childcare and dog care and God knows what else. And we're going to have a weekend away, and I'm going to get stabbed with the needle lots, so that'll be fun. Yeah, just waiting to have a chat with the artist about what needs to be done and stuff like that. Right, let's do some seeding. Let's select, actually let's have a look in the cab and see. No, that screen did not pick up anything on there. Okay, right. To work. Seeder on, seeder down. Are we on auto fertilizer? We are. Let's plant some triticale. So hopefully we put enough anhydrous in. Obviously the anhydrous, I'm going to say, is cheap, but actually we brought it right at the start of the year. And we haven't used the full tank yet, so it's almost free at this point, right? It'd just be kind of nice if the seed and fertilizer usage was about the same. So, which it looks like they are at the moment. Running at a nice 11 miles an hour. Don't think it will take too long with this. Maybe we don't need another seeder. Maybe we need 2 seeders. I don't really see the need for a pair of quad tracks on here, unless we really expand the farm. But we could run the seeder behind the Magnum as well. That's an option, yeah. We could get another seeder rather than a bigger seeder. That would push me more towards using course play, I guess. Which I quite like, getting to drive stuff. So let's reset that and reset that. Yep, okay, so it is picking up the width for the seeder, so it was just the Nitro Master that it couldn't pick up the width for, which is cool. It's not something to do with the tractor or mod conflicts. So I think again I'm going to run 2 headlands on here to get us room to manoeuvre, mostly on the section just the other side of pivot where we get up to the fence line. So there's a few other things that I'm considering for next year, and they are dependent on me. I also say dependent on me earning money, but we sell poo, we make lots of money. So over the winter I'm wondering if we can earn enough money to buy one of the big fields near the bioethanol plant, because it might be cool to have a look at that. Obviously this year all of our corn went for silage, but I think we have enough land set aside for corn for silage that if we could buy another big field, we could maybe try and do a big delivery to the bioethanol plant, which might be quite cool. Actually, I'm going to boot that off and set it. I'm going to set the GPS to actually run button to run along the path of the pivot, because that might make it slightly neater for harvesting as well. Because it's better to obviously harvest with the crop. So let's try that. Might mean we have some funny weird end rows, but I'm happy with that. Yeah, so I'm thinking we could maybe do a big corn harvest later next year to make some bioethanol. I think that might be quite cool. In the field I'm looking at, and if you watch Farm Sim Guy and Argsy Gaming, is field 33, and that's the field they've just done a big corn silage harvest on. It's about $1.7 million that we would need to raise to pay for it. I'm kind of considering the investment in the land partly something we can use as collateral against the loan that we have. So I need to edit that cough out as well. That was going so well. Yeah, so I consider the investment in land that we're making part of collateral against the loan. So spending money on land, I think, is probably a good thing. Obviously, buying tractors doesn't help deal with the debt that we're in, but it's fun. But buying land, you know, we can always sell that land if we need to raise money to pay back the loan. So I think that's a good idea. We're still going to work on paying back the loan. Yeah. I'm wondering whether I want to get more cows. Yeah, the 6 corrals is a lot of work. I'm not, you know, it's a lot of time that goes into feeding and cleaning those cows that I do mostly off camera, because otherwise that would be an entire video every week of me just feeding and cleaning the cows, and you watching me mess about trying to get the tractor in to clean the manure out and things. So maybe not. And once we start getting calves, we're sitting at 669 cows at the moment. Once we start getting calves, that number is going to go up a lot. Each pen has got space for another 85-ish cows in it. So all of the beef, the male beef cow, we will be selling off, some to the meat plant, some just back to the animal dealer. The meat plant will make us more money, but is more time consuming because it only takes, I think, 3 animals at a time, something like that, and then produces the meat packs that we have to take to the store and sell, versus just going and selling the whole animal to the dealer. So we'll probably do a mixture of that between the two, of selling the beef to selling some of the calves straight off to the meat processing plant, and growing some of the beef on to sell later on. And maybe those we will move into one of the other pens. I'll pick one that's easy to access, and maybe we'll do it that way, and we'll grow those on to sell at a later date for a better price. I always wonder with calves, and particularly calves from dairy cattle in farm sim in seasons, whether it's really profitable to grow them on with the feed that they take. And it takes a long time to get them up to selling weight, or whether it's better to just sell them. Yeah, I don't know. If you've done that testing, let me know what you think. There's a few ideas that I've been thinking of for testing that now it's basically too late to do. So something that I did on here, and something that I think is fairly common, particularly with seasons, if you're starting a dairy herd, is that in the first year you feed them grass or whatever, and you don't really worry too much about their productivity. What I don't know is whether that affects how long it takes for the cows to calf. I know in the real world it shouldn't, but whether there's something in seasons that factors in productivity into the gestation time. It's something that would be easy to test, but now feels pointless. We're less than 3 weeks away from FS22. Nearly 2 weeks by the time you're watching this. Something else, I guess, there is the potential that next week there will be a lot less videos. My dad's going in for a fairly serious neck operation on Monday, to have 2 vertebrae removed from his spine and replaced with metal. And I'm heading home to my parents for the week to help out and run my mum and dad around as they need to and all that kind of stuff. There's a really good chance I won't be recording content next week. Or if I do, it will be sporadic and it'll be time lapses because I won't be set up to sit and record voice and commentary and stuff. So, and if you're a regular watcher, you might have made it this far to see the message. If you're not a regular watcher, you won't have seen the message, but you probably won't care. So yeah, so next week there is a good chance there will be a lot less videos unless I get them all recorded this week, which is unlikely. So yeah, I'll do updates via Twitter and Discord and stuff as to what's happening in terms of if and when videos will be out or whatever. Kind of stressed about that, to be honest. Not the videos thing, the surgery thing. My dad is fairly old. I'm really bad and I don't actually know how old, but he's well into his 70s. And he's had some fairly serious operations lately. He was in a major motorcycle accident when he was about 19, and that's resulted in 1 knee replacement, which was the knee that was hit by a car, which now he's replacing again, but they're not keen to do because there's a lot of damage to the soft tissue from the accident, even though it was 50 odd years ago. He's got 1 artificial hip, waiting for a second one. He had spinal surgery last year in his lower back, and now has to have the surgery in his, I can't remember which vertebrae it is. I think it's the lower part of the neck, basically. And all of that comes from a motorcycle accident in his late teens, and then a fairly physical job and physical lifestyle, which he still does. He's still a really active guy. He's just in a lot of pain. So yeah, headed home Tuesday, I think. Dad's going to be in hospital all day Monday and maybe coming out on Tuesday, and I need to do the pickup run because he won't let my mum. Well, my mum won't drive his car. My sister won't drive his car, and he deems her car too small and uncomfortable. So he deems my car too small and uncomfortable, but he'll let me drive his car. So yeah. Anyway, yeah, if there's less videos next week, that's why. There's been there's some stuff coming out of beta playing or beta testing of FS19. It looks like certainly some of the European YouTubers are getting access to the game for beta testing, and there's some stuff coming out of that. I don't know if I've mentioned it in a video. I certainly posted it on Twitter. There's the used vehicles bit, which looks really cool. To have that as base game is awesome. And the discounts look quite meaty, which will be good. With a lack of mods, the kind of games that I generally play, not this one obviously, but a lot of my series have started off on start from scratch, so money is always tight. So being able to buy old used tractors will be a really good help with that. Particularly for the first series that I have planned, which I've not really mentioned anything about yet, and I won't until I release it. Because yeah, I've got an idea of how to do something which is fairly popular without needing some of the mods that everyone needs to do those fairly popular videos. So that's come out. The Giants have confirmed that there will be more height types, which is great for Maze Plus and Terra Life, because if the base game limit is higher, that hopefully means that the limits that they can push the game to are even higher, which is only going to be a good thing. I think that's it for this week for what I've seen. I'm really bad at keeping up with devlogs and stuff. Do you know, I'm just looking forward to playing the game. A lot of the teaser stuff doesn't excite me. I'm too old, and yeah. I should get excited about it maybe, but I haven't. The animals and stuff, yeah, it was nice to look at, but there was no meat, pardon the pun. There was no detail on the things, and I want details. I'm a details person. I don't want just a pretty picture. I want some facts and information. So we've nearly done the two headlands while I waffle away. I'm going to stick this into a montage now, I think, and we'll check back towards the end of getting this job done.
Now my wheels in motion and my windows open with the wind blowing in my hair. I'm driving down the highway, gonna do this my way. I can feel it in the air. Here I go.
So we are almost done on here, which is good because it's getting towards 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and because we are in November or late autumn, the light's not too strong now. In fact, it's very hazy, kind of a nice effect. We have had enough seed and fertilizer. Thankfully, we ended up using about half as much fertilizer by volume as seed. So my worries about not having enough fertiliser on board were not unfounded. There we go. There's some words. It's been a really nice rig to run. It's much smoother than the 9190. We need to decide what we're going to do with the 9190, whether we're going to keep it or whether we are going to retire it to another farm. To be honest, unless we're short of tractors, I can't see us using that over wanting to use the quad track. So maybe if we get another seeder, we would then want to break out the 9190 again, or I guess for compacting silage. So yeah, we'll hang on to it. There is always the chance that we will need it. So between now and the next video, and I may not get that done in time to have 2 videos this weekend, I'm basically going to take care of the animals and fast forward time through to spring, when we can look at planting. We have corn and sorghum to plant. No, actually both of those are not until mid-spring or late spring. So yeah, we may even progress time a bit further. Basically, I'm going to progress time until there is something interesting happening. We will probably go through the point where we start producing milk. I may capture that on video. It depends how things go, particularly with the stuff that I mentioned earlier in the video, out in the real world. What else was I thinking about? Something I forgot to mention, which I haven't shown, is I had to open the silage clamp up to feed the cows today. I didn't get that on video because there was not a lot to show other than me opening the silage clamp, unless I was going to actually talk about it. So we will take a trip over there before we finish for today. I think we've got one more row left to get done here. We had something like 1.3, I think it's 1.29 million litres of silage in that clamp. Good. Potentially a good price for canola. So yeah, we've got plenty of silage. We're using probably 100,000 litres a day. So that's what, half a year's worth. Maybe we haven't got plenty of silage. We might have to go with the hay heavier mix or TMR. And I'm certainly glad we have, I think, a bigger field for corn for next year for silage. Hopefully the silage that we've got will last until we get to the point where we can chop that field. What we may end up having to do, I suspect... I'm sorry for having to keep stopping, I am still coughing quite a bit. What I think we may have to do is separate out the calves as we get them and feed them on hay. Maybe we have a lot of hay and we'll have a lot more hay. So I may look at doing that actually once we start to get calves. On this map we don't have calves implemented properly, so we can't put them onto milk like you might on some of Lancey Boy's maps or Hofbergman. Or Dennis Farms Automokes, where I think they have milk replacer. So we can't do any of that, but what we can do is, and maybe that's what we'll move to the separate pen actually. If I'm worried about feed, we'll move the young stock over to a separate pen and just feed them on hay. That sounds like a good idea to me. So the belt that I was using for, we're just going to drag the whole, the whole unit over to the pit, because I'm going to end the video after this. So the belt that I was using for the manure, hence the colour, I brought over here to the bunker, probably because I've saved it, won't know how much is in there now. Oh, it does. So I've still got 1.2 million litres nearly. I took about 150,000 litres out, I think. Something I want to do before I put more silage in is get rid of the grass. I just don't like the look of it poking up through the silage. Yeah, that's how we're doing our silage loading. So, thanks for watching everyone. I'm not sure when the next video on here will be. It might be Sunday, it might be sometime in the week next week, it might be the week after. It might be a time lapse if it's next week. Hope you enjoyed it. Like, subscribe, comment, all that stuff. Hopefully by the next time I will have my voice back properly. So see you next time.